Well, hey there, listeners. Welcome to Never Seen It. This is a podcast about movies that we haven't seen yet. I'm your host today. My name is Betsy. And it's Trent, who's sitting right across from me as my co-host.
Hey, Betsy.
You're here, as always.
I am. And we're here to do something that we only do about once a year, and it is time.
It is time for our annual summer tradition. We are in between series right now. So what better time to continue on our journey of making Trent watch every single M. Night Shyamalan written and directed movie? Because up until we started this podcast, Trent, you had not seen a single one of his movies.
None of them. And I'm just going to point out here, before we started to record today's episode, we looked back to see, oh, geez, when was the last time we did one of these fucking Shyamalan movies? And it was almost 1 year to the day. Last year, it was July 21st. This one's coming out on July 20th. That was not planned by either of us, I assure you.
I hadn't really considered it, but then I was remembering back to the layout last year. There were a couple of new ones. I was like, I'm pretty sure that we did Signs as the third movie in July.
Yeah.
And guess what we're doing this year?
And it's not like we did like the Decade series last year around the same time. No, it was just, hey, it's July, it's the summertime. There's a lot of movies that we want to go and see. And sometimes the schedule gets kind of messed up sometimes. So, hey, we got 2 weeks left of July to kind of fill in with whatever. So what better time to watch a Shyamalan movie than now?
And for this one, we are going to the next in the sequence because we are going in order, which means we are to number 4. If you're interested in those first ones, we have episodes available for The Sixth Sense and Unbreakable and for Signs, because those were all first-time watches for Trent. And today is no different. We are going to 2004 because we are watching The Village. So again, sequentially, the next one in his filmography. Trent, what do you know about The Village?
Betsy, this is going to be a really short intro because I don't know anything about The Village. I don't remember anything about it. I don't remember any kind of fervor. I didn't have any friends who saw it. Nuh-uh. I got nothing.
Do you know anybody who's in it?
No.
Not a single. Do you know the star?
No, I don't. I know nothing about this movie, Betsy.
Okay, knowing based on the 3 movies you've watched so far, he does sometimes reuse actors. Who's a best guess that you might think of is in this one who was in a previous one we watched?
I'm guessing it's not Mel Gibson.
It is not Mel Gibson.
And I can't imagine Haley Joel Osment was really an option at the time. So I got nothing. I really got nothing here.
Do you have any memory of anything, like the plot, where this takes place?
I'm sure there's another fucking twist in this movie because that's what the fans of Shyamalan were clamoring for. That's what he was known for in this first part of his career. But I do know this. This is the beginning of the downturn of his movies as far as quality-wise and how the fans and how the general public were perceiving his movies. It's this one, it's The Lady in the Water, and The Happening. Yeah. Those were the 3 movies that people started to be really turned off, and then he went and started directing other people's content.
And that wasn't much better, frankly.
No.
But yes, we are entering the second phase where we've gone from the really good / pretty good to we'll see how you feel about these.
So yeah, I think this is the best time for me to be watching this movie right now because, hey, we can just have fun with it. It's not a part of a series. We're throwing it out there in the middle of July. I don't know how many people actually remember The Village, but hey, we promised you guys we're going to watch all of the Shyamalan movies, and this is just the next one.
So with that, we're going to go and watch 2004's The Village, and we will be right back. And that was The Village. Trent, I can tell from the look on your face that you considered this to be a misunderstood classic of cinema, but I'll let you articulate in your own way. What did you think of the fourth M. Night Shyamalan movie.
I don't know how you're coming up with that answer, Betsy, because, man. Okay, so the first three movies we've done here from Mr. Shyamalan they had their merits. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you that this movie is hot garbage. No, I'm not saying that, but I can see the downward spiral very, very apparently here. And I'm just going to say, fuck these people, fuck this movie, and fuck everything about it, because I fucking called it. Betsy, in the intro, I said I knew nothing about it. That is true. But as soon as we started, I don't know what it was that tipped me off, but I knew that this is some weird, cultish, semi-Mennonite colony where people are going off by themselves.
Now, you didn't explicitly say that when we started the movie. We were about 5 minutes in, and you paused it, and you were like, I have a theory.
Yeah.
And I said,
just
okay.
Based on the very, very little information that was given to me, the way these people are talking to each other, and I think it might have been after Judy Greer goes up to Joaquin Phoenix and professes her love for him that I busted out laughing and I came up with this theory. That scene, number one, hilarious. I don't know if it was intentionally hilarious or not, but it's one of my favorite things I've seen all year. But that was my theory coming out of this. It's just how they're talking to each other. And it's okay, some of the older people don't talk like that, but the young people do, right? Is this just in my mind here?
No, I think it feels very weird. Everybody is talking in this very strange way. And you could pass it off as, well, this is just a poorly written script. And that's why it feels so stilted and strange. But then when you go, oh, it's because all of the parents, the elders, are bringing on an affectation in the way they speak. They're adopting it for the purposes of this experiment they are doing.
And they're teaching it to their children.
Which means it's not natural the way they speak, and so their children don't speak in a natural way.
Yeah.
And you could literally be extremely generous and say, well, the bad writing is because of that. Like, oh, it's actually brilliant because it's this subculture accent work kind of happening where this happens in real life. Really isolated groups have very specific accents. You could really, if you're being generous, extrapolate that and go, yeah, if you had this group that left society, let's call it 30 years ago, if they all came here and are isolated from the world, they are going to talk a very specific, unique way.
And they are purposefully cutting themselves off from the rest of society, and they're consciously, as a group, not teaching their children the ways of the world. In fact, not only are they not teaching them that, they're teaching them wrong things. They're lying to them and scaring them out of even questioning their even existence.
Yeah, they're trying to make sure everybody here stays here. They don't ask, why do we not go into the woods? What is outside the borders? Because they come up with a fucking ghost story, basically. They're like, there's monsters, there's creepy shit in the woods.
And it's not even just a story. They say here, oh, all the howling that you hear, that's us. You see all of the weird hooded creatures coming around and with the fucking claws everywhere. That's us.
Yes, they manifest an entire story to tell everybody who's younger than them why they should be afraid of the woods.
It's essentially telling your kids about the boogeyman.
Yes, they create their own boogeymen based on real lore from the woods. Like he says, William Hurt talks about he was a history professor.
Yeah.
And at some point, he was learning about these woods, this area, and there were rumors of something living in the woods.
Betsy,
so we've got some Blair Witch shit going on.
What the fuck is up with this Blair Witch fucking movie?
Well, Trent, that is how it all begins. But the biggest reveal, of course, is at the end of the movie where nothing is real at all. It goes farther than what you expect. Like at the beginning of the movie, you said, oh, this is like some cult shit and the real world is just going on. You didn't explicitly say to me, oh, it's modern day. Because
no, I didn't
show us.
I did not get the modern stuff.
They show us a tombstone at the beginning of the movie that says 1897.
Right.
So this is a period piece. We are in a village, and you have no reason to believe that anything untoward is going on, that, he just decided to make a movie set in the 1800s.
Right. And the idea here that this is not on the up and up comes very, very quickly because they say, quote, those we don't speak of. That's really where I got this fucking cult Mennonite colony kind of a thing where they do not speak of the outside world, whatever that happens to be. We could still be in almost 1900 America, and there are other towns that have doctors and medicine and modern things of the day anyway.
So while you were watching it, were you still thinking that was what was happening? That it was just the outside world being also in 1897? And were you on board with that until the reveal at the end where she jumps a fence and all of a sudden there's a guy in a fucking truck?
I think as the movie went on, the idea that this was actually around 1900, that idea kind of left my body. And I was thinking it's more, this is a self-imposed exile from society. And when they talk about the evils of the world and when they refer to their fucking boxes, and it's only the older people, the elders that have these fucking boxes. When they start to talk more about those things and thinking about their past, and they let it slip when it's just the elders in the room, they talk amongst each other as if they're just, our parents.
But they still talk in the same way. They keep up the act. They use the same dialogue.
Yes, of course. But as we keep on going through the movie, a lot of that kind of drops away.
As the walls kind of start closing in on them where they feel like they're about to lose what they have built here because they have been successful for a while. We don't know how long they've been there. They just say, we all made the choice to move to this community and we want to be away from the world and the evils of the world. So yeah, you are kind of led to be under the understanding this is just like a religious group, or they are just like Mennonites, like you said, where they don't want to be involved with the outside world.
Yeah, we have our own creed, our own way of looking at the world, and we are fine just amongst ourselves. And that's where you get The Village. The title of the movie is The Village, and this is a very all-encompassing thing. We can take care of ourselves. Our food is taken care of. Our clothes are made by whoever, and we don't need anybody else but ourselves.
We have a doctor, we have a teacher, we have a preacher.
Yeah.
We've got everything we possibly could need. We have no reason to ever leave this spot. And if you're paying attention, there's like little clues to the fact that every time the elders have like a private conversation with somebody or there's like a casual moment, they kind of start telling people bad things happened to them before they moved here. Like tragedy hit every single one of these people. And if you're not really paying attention, you don't realize, well, shit, Cherry Jones, her character, her sister was killed when she was 23.
Right.
And then Brendan Gleeson said, oh, this person in my family died. And William Hurt's father was killed in his own bed. He was sleeping and a guy pulled a gun on him. And they spread them out throughout the movie. But if you're really focusing in on what they're saying, you're like, Jesus, what is going on with these people?
Which just tells you that there's a reason why they would want to do something like this, where they could collect themselves, all of their family, I mean, not even their possessions, except for what's in the box, of course.
What's in the box, Trent? What's in the box?
They collect themselves and collectively live in this village. And I think the moment when all of the elders are kind of fighting, this is after William Hurt says, I let her go. And Brendan Gleeson says, fucking let her go. It's fine. In that moment, they're all kind of letting it fall out. They're remembering why we came here, but also they're reminded of all of the negative consequences that comes with a situation like this.
Well, they were all escaping their grief. They met in a fucking group counseling session. Like they were all part of this group that had bad things happen to them.
Yeah.
And they bonded over their grief and then decided because they had the means to do it, because one of them's a fucking billionaire who inherited his father's fortune, I assume, they decided to make this group and run from their grief. They ran away from their problems. But the problem with that is life still happens, no matter
Yeah.
where you are, no matter the circumstances. They cannot run from grief because grief is going to find them.
One of the guys says, we did this to protect innocence, which is to say, I think the main goal of this entire endeavor is to use the resources that William Hurt's character has to maintain this property, because clearly it's named after him. Maintain this property long enough and for enough generations to go by that they all die off, and what remains are the children that only know what they've been taught. Not what they've seen, but what they've been taught by the elders. And if it keeps on going and going and going, the idea that other towns exist, that other creatures exist outside of this village will completely die away. That's what they want anyway.
That's what they want, but they can't escape the fact that people are gonna die.
Yeah, and
People
William
die.
Hurt
The
even
movie-
says...
Trent, the movie starts with Brendan Gleeson crying over a coffin because his small child died. Probably because he got some virus that needed just fucking penicillin. And in the confines of this village at the beginning of the movie, they won't leave for shit. It doesn't matter how bad things are getting. Little children will die of totally preventable things because they are that committed to the bit.
William Hurt says in that conversation there, well, are you planning on living forever? Because that's not fucking possible. So we need to face the facts here that this entire experiment is flawed at the very, very least.
They need to bring more people into their circle of trust. And even though he told Ivy about, oh, it's fake. Like we fuck around in the woods. We make it up. It's all smoke and mirrors and stuff. It's a ruse to keep people here. If they don't tell somebody that, eventually you'd think people would figure it out. Like, they need to tell her. They need to tell a couple of their other grown-up children to keep this going after they're dead.
Yeah, exactly. But I think what they're really realizing here is that they cannot keep this going on forever, because eventually, like you said, you have to tell somebody, because it's only the elders who are putting on this ruse. If all the elders die off and all of these incidents stop and the monsters stop coming by and the howling stops, well, then it's okay. Then you can go out into the woods and it's all fine.
And human curiosity is gonna get the better of somebody in this group eventually.
Yeah, so why not send out the blind woman to go off and find medicine to come back, because she is the only one that could do this, and she's the only one that we can trust to not, see the real world and report back to everybody.
Yeah, all she knows is what she hears. She's not seeing anything. She doesn't see this guy pull up in modern clothes in a vehicle. She hears the noise and she says, "What was that?"
Right.
But he doesn't explain it to her. And the willingness of this poor, forest ranger to just go along with this is fucking insane.
Sure.
It makes absolutely no goddamn sense that this guy's just like, "You live in the woods? I'll help you." Okay.
Okay.
Like you don't question this at all.
Fucking Ranger Ron coming around to say, my fucking job sucks. I hate my boss. I'm going to steal some penicillin and give it to this pretty lady. I don't know.
And I'll help her back over the fence and then wonder what the hell just happened.
Right.
Like, he hears enough to know, I think, that this place, there are some question marks around this wildlife preserve.
Yeah.
He's been told by his boss and everybody else who works there, don't ask questions, don't make conversation. This is the easiest job in the world. Just make sure there's no fucking hikers or people going over the fence and people who aren't supposed to be here.
We are paid probably by this fucking trust that he set up prior to when they go into the colony to just do this. Protect the barrier, protect everything. Don't ask questions, just show up to work every day, make your rounds, and collect a paycheck. That's all you got to do, buddy.
All right, I have many more questions for you about this, but first, this seems like a good place to take a really quick break for a word from our sponsor, so we'll be right back. What's the matter, Billy? You look bored just sitting there clicking that pen.
Well, Becky, I've already listened to this week's episode of Never Seen It, and there's nothing left for me to do. Guess I'll just sit here and click this pen until next Sunday.
Wait, Billy, what if I told you that the Never Seen It crew puts out 4 other shows every month?
4 shows? How do I get those?
It's easy. Just go to patreon.com/neverseenitpod, and for $5 per month, you get access to all their extra content.
Wow, that sounds a whole lot better than clicking this pen.
It sure does, Billy. It sure does. So we make it to the end of this movie, Trent, and all of these things that we just talked about have transpired. We're trying to perpetuate this village. We're trying to have it last beyond this generation of elders. We send the blind girl because she can't actually see what it is that's really going on here. She just knows there's a person who helped her, and then she goes back. But in the interim, there is also still what she perceives to be some kind of a monster out in the woods.
Mm-hmm.
So do you think that by the end of this, she has actually bought in that it's all fake, or has she gone back around to, no shit, there is something in the woods because I killed it?
I think she doesn't give a whole lot of details to the people who are asking her because she can't, for one thing, because she doesn't know what the hell was out there. And the people who hear the story assume that it was a monster. And that's the lie that gets perpetuated.
But this is one of those things the first time I saw this movie where, like most people, I was expecting a twist because we have already come to know M. Night Shyamalan as the twist guy. In 2004, we were all waiting in the theater to find out what the twist was. And this is one where it feels like he was doing many things to try to throw off the audience. He was trying to get ahead of the twist to make you think, oh, this is the twist. No, just kidding. This is the twist. So first, we get Joaquin Phoenix getting stabbed, which, let me tell you, the first time I saw this movie, the way they kind of cut the sound and have it framed, it is kind of a shock.
Totally. I was surprised.
Did you find that to be a very shocking moment for you?
Absolutely.
So there's a part of you that's like, shit, maybe that's the twist. Like, oh God, it's not actually going to be a twist kind of a movie. It's just he gets stabbed and how do we go from here?
No, I did not think that was going to be a twist because, hey, murder happens.
But it is a twist in that moment. Like, it's not the twist in the way we're saying, but it is certainly something unexpected.
It is a thing that you can put into a plot point in order to progress the story.
And then the second thing, the big reveal, all the monsters are fake. Her dad says, come with me to the shed and try your best not to scream.
Right.
Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, what an ominous thing to say before you take me to a shed that nobody is supposed to be in. And then we see it's literally just fucking plastic and rubber. When she says there's a weird smell, it's probably rubber and plastic because that's what those things are made of. And they look super cheesy when you see them up close, but she can't see them.
Obviously, but I didn't get that. What I figured it was like dried out fucking animal parts that they rig up into this costume that they're wearing, kind of like what happened in Midsummer where he's wearing the fucking bear suit.
Heyo!
I got total Midsummer vibes watching this movie. I wonder if Ari Aster really likes this movie.
I have to imagine he did see this and thought, I could do it better.
Oh yeah, like really making a fucking cult movie. By the way, if you haven't listened to our episode about Midsummer, I highly recommend that you go and seek it out. That movie fucking blew us away when we saw it for the first time. It was one of our favorites. It was like number 2 or number 3 on our ranking that year. Holy shit. Anyway, off topic.
But yes, I feel like you can draw kind of a through line from The Village to Midsummer. I don't think that's necessarily just you considering that.
Oh yeah.
It feels very possible. But yeah, so there's this like second reveal. Oh, the woods are all fake and the elders are putting on this charade so that we keep everybody in the village and nobody wants to leave. Okay, so that's kind of the second little twist. But then when she's out in the woods by herself and one of them appears, at which point I was definitely like, what the fuck? Because we were just told this is fake. How is there one in the woods?
Yeah.
And they put in that little audio clip of him saying, we were told there were stories of things in these woods.
Right. From these history books that I used to teach. The thought process I was going through here was she's telling herself they're not real. They're fake. So to make myself feel confident, I'm going to do the thing. I'm going to put my arms up like the boys do to I don't know, hype themselves up and try to not be afraid. But what she's doing here is faking out this creature, if there is one, in order to have it drop into the hole that she dropped into.
But my thing is, we were shown what these creatures look like, their little costumes hanging in the shed. And when you see this one, it looks similar, but it is altered. Did you notice there was kind of a difference between the one we saw earlier and this one at the end of the movie?
I did. Honestly, what I thought here was that it was changing as we were watching it.
So, like...
Meaning, like, the first time we saw... this is Adrian Brody in the suit. The first time we see it, it looks one way, and then a few scenes after that, it looks a little bit different. That's what I thought anyway, but obviously this is the first time I'm seeing this, so the thought that you're talking about here, the fact that the suits look different than what it looked like in the shed, I never had that thought.
Because it does. I think fundamentally it's because he's been skinning animals and he's got like some of those pelts like on him and he's got chicken feathers on him. He has sort of enhanced his own suit in that way because he found one of the costumes under the floorboards. His parents had one hidden.
Yeah.
And then he's been going around skinning these animals and he's like adding to it so that by the end of the movie, it's enough of a change from the earlier visage of these creatures that you, the viewer, goes, wait, are they real? Are we supposed to believe they're actually real?
I'm glad that they gave the explanation at the very least that it was him in the suit.
But you see what I'm saying? So first we're told it's not real. Then we're told, oh shit, maybe it is real. But then just kidding, he's actually Adrian Brody in this costume.
Yeah.
So nope, just kidding, it's not real again. And then there's another twist. Surprise, bitches, it's modern day. It's 2004. All of this is a fucking lie. And he's doing so many of these changes that you're kind of like, this is fucking stupid. By the end of it,
Oh, yeah.
every time I thought watching this movie, okay, this is actually good, then it got really corny and stupid. And then I was like, oh, but maybe it's going to get good again. Then it's like, oh, come on.
Yeah.
By the time we get to the true final twist, it's just like, what the fuck? Like, seriously? You could see it coming. Like you said, you assumed the outside world did exist. You just maybe didn't think they would go that far, that it's just all make-believe and it is modern day and these people are living in a way that people don't live in modern times.
Yeah, what I figured here, I'll look at my notes here. I said something to the effect of, there are no wicked people, this is a cult. And I wrote, seems like William Hurt wanted to escape the evils of society and money.
And when we do see modern times, the one time M. Night Shyamalan, who cannot resist putting himself in his movies, shows up as like the park ranger's boss.
Yeah.
He's reading a newspaper and we're looking over his shoulder at the paper and it's just like 11 dead, child's body found after 3 days missing.
Yeah, it's a bunch of horrible
breaks
shit.
out. Yeah, it's really emphasizing to us that they've made the right choice to live in the woods.
Now, obviously, you look at this fucking movie in 2025 and all of the shit that we have gone through as a society, as a people, and yeah, I could see how somebody might think, you know, it'd be so much better if we didn't have the internet. It'd be so much better if we didn't live in this current society. But Betsy, I'm here to tell you that this is the future that the trad wife movement wants, and it's fucking moronic.
Well, speaking of having the internet and knowing what things are going on in the world, I was thinking about that after we finished watching this. When this movie came out in 2004, it was not really well received. Like, the critics don't like this movie. This is sitting at 43% on Rotten Tomatoes. And in 2004, we didn't have Rotten Tomatoes to tell us what to look at. Or if we did.
Yeah, we did.
Okay, but it was not so permeating the way that people know it now. It's not so instantaneous. I didn't have Twitter. I didn't have any way to know what people really thought of this movie. Because I think in 2004, if we had the internet as we have now, this movie would have bombed so hard and so fast.
I think people, when they go to see a movie like this, especially if they liked the first 3 Shyamalan movies, you want to be the exception. You want to be fooled. You want to have it just come over you and have the same experience that you maybe had in The Sixth Sense. So I think that is the self-delusion that people really had about themselves, much like the people in the movie. And going to this movie, you want to have that feeling again. But as all of these other movies start to come out here, you start to be more and more disappointed, and you're losing people. You're losing your fans.
And this was kind of the turning point. I guess not for me. I think this was maybe almost there because I was ignorant of the negativity about this movie. I just got to go and watch this movie and enjoy it. And it's not a perfect movie. It is far from a perfect movie.
You said that you've seen this movie how many times?
I've probably seen this movie 10 to 12 times because I owned it. And I think there are qualities that we're going to talk about that make it worth rewatching, despite the fact it is corny as fuck by the time the movie is over. Yes, the twist is disappointing, but that's because he's trying to be the twist guy. It's absolutely infuriating when you are just getting all up in your own head about how can I fool this audience and how can I make it really interesting and unique.
And when you're trying to force something like that into your movie because your audience wants it, it stops being your movie. And that sucks. You should not do that, M. Night Shyamalan. Do not let your fans or the viewers of your movies dictate what your art is going to be. And yes, I'm calling it art, so sue me.
Okay, well, since you said that, I think it is maybe a little unfair to rank this movie quite so low. I don't think it's 43% bad. I really don't, because I would never have watched this movie as many times as I have. But here's the thing about it that I think is really worth rewatching. Fucking Roger Deakins is the cinematographer in this movie.
Yeah.
James Newton Howard did the score for this movie. I think this movie looks and sounds incredible in a way that people have maybe overlooked for 20 years.
I'll do you one better, Betsy. The best thing in this movie is the fact that you got 6 different Oscar-nominated actors in this goddamn movie, and they are acting their asses off here. Even though it is a pile of shit fucking movie. They're doing their level best, and I really hope that they all got paid very handsomely for it.
But that should tell you everything you need to know about where M. Night Shyamalan was as a filmmaker. You got William Hurt, Sigourney Weaver, Brendan Gleeson, Joaquin Phoenix, Bryce Dallas Howard, Jesse Eisenberg, Fran Kranz. Who am I missing?
Adrian Brody.
Adrian Brody.
2-time Oscar winner.
So a few of these people already had Academy Awards. A few of them were on the cusp. Like, this is right before Adrian Brody won for the first time, or maybe right after. Right after, excuse me, because I think he won in 2002.
And Joaquin wasn't too far after him either.
Well, he had at least been nominated. So he was nominated for Gladiator. He got nominated for Walk the Line. He didn't actually win until Joker, but...
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
this was
I forget
during
about that
time frame, though, that he was getting a lot of attention for his acting. And yeah, there are moments in the movie where they are all doing the work. And I actually really buy into it. Like when William Hurt gives his impassioned speech at the end of the movie saying, yeah, I fucking let her go because we have to. I have to believe in my heart that if this place is meant to be, it'll be. But you can't just... we can't keep doing this. We all have to continue on, and this is how we're going to do it.
Yeah, think about all of the other things that are happening in this community that wouldn't be happening possibly but for them being in the village. Like Bryce Dallas Howard's blindness. We have no idea. I'm not a doctor. You're not a doctor, but we have no idea if maybe something that is going on in her could be cured with modern medicine.
Or could have been prevented before she lost her
or
sight.
Or treated, or whatever it happens to be.
They keep getting hammered away at this place. The bad things are still happening to them, even in isolation.
Yes. I totally believe that these people, these elders, are struggling with their continued decision to keep this going, which is why the scene of them all surrounding the bed at the end of the movie, when William Hurt gets up from his seat to say, what just happened here, proves all of the lies that we've been telling all these people in the village.
We can really sell it now.
We could take this incident and just live out the rest of our lives because they're going to fucking believe it. Except for one. Bryce Dallas Howard here, I think she could be convinced of the utility of keeping the lies going. And she could be the one that keeps it going in the future.
That's why I asked that question. Like, do you think she is on team, let's keep living the lie? Or has she gone back to, I know he told me that it was fake, but I encountered something in those woods, so now I'm going to believe it.
That's it. I think it is so ingrained in her psyche, her mind, her everything, that she cannot just give it up because her dad told her that, oh, it's all a lie.
Yeah, that's what is effective here is they're all told this lie so much and so frequently, and they give it power. Like they say, those we do not speak of.
Right. They make it eerie and scary. It's the same thing. Honestly, when you tell your kids that there's a fucking Santa Claus and Krampus and the Easter Bunny and all this other shit, you continue to believe it sometimes, even after the fact.
Or like now the elf on the shelf, like the parents that are getting in trouble with their kids because they're like, oh my God, the elf is dead. He didn't move.
Oh, I forgot. God damn it.
Mom and dad have to commit harder to the bit.
Yeah.
And with a lesser cast, if you had other like less qualified actors, this could fall apart really quickly. And it is cheesy. Like, I think the dialogue they are delivering is really cheesy throughout this movie. But because they're such high caliber actors, you're like, I'll forgive you. I will forgive you.
But
You're
then you
at
have
least-
the scene of Judy Greer professing her love to Joaquin Phoenix there. That scene I have to go back to here because it's her and not one of the other people. She is talking in this weird colonial elevated way that nobody else in this village is talking like. I'm sorry. Where the hell is this coming from? But maybe it's just her folks who are trying to say, this is a more proper way to sound.
Trent, how do you express a feeling like that? How do you profess your love to somebody when you don't have the language, when you don't have the words? You're going to use the childlike language that you have.
Yeah.
She's just like, we should celebrate it. Hooray!
Yeah.
And it's really dorky. Like, there are so many just very silly moments throughout this movie. And that's another problem with it, where it's just like, I don't get the tone. Like, there are moments that are really creepy and really eerie, but they're countered with such goofy shit.
Like these kids who are going off on the stump amongst all of these burning poles everywhere on the perimeter.
They're playing a game.
Yeah.
Who is going to not get scared? Like, challenge yourself to stay put with your back to the woods. And if you don't, you're a fucking coward and you run away. And they see how long they can do it.
Because clearly there's nothing else that these boys can do.
You live in an isolated village without modern technology. You're going to be bored as fuck most of the time, yes.
Yeah.
But going back to another thing about this movie is how it looks. So they actually find ways to make you feel that like creepiness where it's very dark, or we're spending time focusing on the trees and the spooky trees in the woods.
All of this stuff is very ominous, like all of the fires burning everywhere, like that perimeter that I was just talking about. That's cool looking. And when they're all walking back from the wedding, all holding their little torches and candles and whatnot, all in a line walking back towards the village.
Through the darkness.
Yeah.
And then you see the village lit up in the background because they're the only lights. There's no electricity here.
Yeah.
They just have torches and candles and stuff. And there's a lot of distinct uses of colors. So there's good colors and there's a bad color. So they use a lot of yellow. Yellow marks the border. They have yellow cloaks. They paint the things yellow. I also noticed a lot of blue. Like, there's the scene where Lucius crosses the border, and then there's kind of a warning that comes through where one of these creatures enters the village and warns them all. So they have a town meeting, and he confesses that he went past the border and they saw him. So it's his fault that this is happening. And if you look at that room, there's really distinct uses of William Hurt is wearing a blue jacket and Ivy is wearing this bright blue dress. And it's very cool and just really emphasizing the colors that they use and don't use in this movie.
Well, that's the thing. I don't have an answer here as to why they're telling their people why red is bad. Because one of the things that happens here, where a couple of ladies are sweeping the porch and whatnot, they see a red flower and they have to grab it and they have to go and bury it. Why is red so bad. They say in the movie that it attracts the outsiders, it attracts the people from the outside, and they're going to come in here and kill us. I don't know.
I think that's literally it. That's another part of the myth. That's another part of the story. They say red is bad because it will attract their attention. It'll draw them into the village. So you have to make sure there's no red anywhere. It's also just a movie making thing. Red pops. Like in this world in particular, every time there is red, think about how it was leaping off of the screen.
Oh, yeah. Everything else is very gray.
Even that tiny little flower that you just referenced, it is center frame. It is very close to the camera. And because everything around it is very beige and cool and blue and everything that is lacking color, it is just like, what is this red flower in my face?
Even the yellows really pop here, too.
Yeah, it's just a choice that he made. And it's also, Roger Deakins, I think, finds a way to make it really pop because he is a master cinematographer.
He loves really working with color and motifs like that. So I give him all the credit in the world for how this movie looks. What I don't like is the editing of the movie, where especially when Ivy is out in the woods, they keep cutting back to this canopy shot where it's just the tops of the fucking trees that are all barren. Why?
To make you feel creeped out. It's just to emphasize.
There are ways to do that without using the same fucking shot over and over again.
Oh, I don't know. I'm not the director of the movie. M. Night Shyamalan is. And he's not even, okay, I will say this too. He is not even that bad a director for certain things. Like the way he frames things, there are some really cool shots in this movie. So like after Lucius gets stabbed and they've gathered everybody together and they say he's kind of on his last breaths, keep him in your prayers. All of the kids, all the young people are in the background lined up, and there's a woman back there, and then Ivy is in the foreground. And the way they're just all framed, it's a really interesting shot.
Totally. And when the warnings go off and they go off and hide, the lighting on everybody's faces in these cubby holes looks really cool. As you said, the framing of one of these shots where I think it is when Ivy and Noah are in the doorway and they're making this deal. There's something also in the foreground that I don't know what it is. It doesn't really matter. It looks like a chair of some kind or a pew. I don't know what it is, but that shot is really cool. Also, speaking of Midsummer, when it's the overhead shots of these really long tables when they're all having their dinner and whatnot.
It's very old fashioned. It's very stuff that we don't do anymore. People who lived in villages, if you had a village celebration, you bring out all of your tables and line them up and you have a big meal together outdoors.
Yeah.
That's how you would do it because there is no entertaining space in this community. Everybody has like fucking barns and stuff, and that's the best you can do unless you're outside. A couple of the other things that he does a lot in this movie, you mentioned the Adrian Brody scene where they're standing in the doorway. He does that a lot where we're inside the house looking at the wall, and there's always an open door or an open window, and somebody is within that space. Mm-hmm. And that's like one of those John Ford, like old John Wayne kind of movies. There's a really iconic movie, I think it's The Searchers, that uses that exact thing where John Wayne is like standing in a doorway and you see the desert behind him. He's basically recreating that shot over and over and over again.
There's another shot here of when Joaquin Phoenix goes out to the woods and the camera is on him. You can only see him in the woods, but the camera physically itself is moving backwards, and it is also zooming out at the same time. It is almost a reverse vertigo shot.
And knowing his admiration for Alfred Hitchcock, there you go.
Absolutely.
That totally makes sense. So it's not like this is all bad. There are so many good things about this movie, and I think that's why I've seen it so many times, is it is a really good looking movie and it's a really good sounding movie. Yeah, it's cheesy. If you can overlook the cheese factor, the really dorky dialogue and stuff, and know that the twist is what it is, and accept that at this point in his career, he's trying to do a twist. And this is what happens when he's trying. It feels so forced and it feels so silly.
It's very try hard.
And that was when he was starting to lose our attention. Like he did 3 good/pretty good movies or great movies. And now we're entering this phase of, okay, this is the M. Night Shyamalan we're going to get. And at least he had the restraint of, he's just in that one little scene. Now, he kind of painted himself into a corner with that one, because how is he going to live in this very white village of people that has come together? Like, this is not a diverse group that lives here.
Yeah, and I would also like to point out here that obviously all of his movies take place in Pennsylvania.
So does this one.
And what does Pennsylvania have a huge population of, Betsy?
Well, that would be the Amish, Trent.
Yeah, and we here in South Dakota don't necessarily have an Amish population per se, but they are what are called Hutterites. It's the same kind of an idea. It's a Mennonite colony, if you really want to put it to a specific thing, but they are their own thing. The Hutterites go back fucking hundreds of years.
But they also interact with society in a way that some of those groups definitely do not.
Definitely. Same thing with the Amish, like they do go into town to get provisions and whatever else. They do have some semblance of modernness creep into their own thing.
The Hutterites have cars.
Sure.
Like, I've noticed many of them driving around. That's not a foreign concept to them.
Absolutely. They will go to Walmart. You see them at Walmart sometimes buying stuff.
They buy things at the stores that are available to them.
Exactly.
They use money. It's not a big deal. It's just a different version of the same thing. They are a group that is actually interacting with society, though.
Yeah, which is why I'm coming back to this idea of the trad wife movement and the anti-vaxxers out there who are fucking backwards in their thinking. Do you know how good we have it in modern society? Take all of the bad and compare that to what society was 200 years ago. Are you fucking kidding me? You want to go back to that?
Also, the irony in this movie that it is brought to them by a billionaire. It's only made possible by a lot of money.
Jesus. Yeah, you know what? The other thing I had on my mind here, but I was reminded that they actually say it. I was questioning, why wouldn't anybody in the community say anything when an airplane goes overhead? Well, they say it when they're at the park station or whatever the fuck. M. Night Shyamalan says something to the effect of, remember back when a couple of years ago there was a director from somebody saying we need to keep the fucking airs clean or whatever they say.
It's a no-fly zone. You cannot fly over the park.
It's the same thing where people, they want to have their fucking house blurred out on Google Maps and Google Earth, and I want no outside information going out about my property.
Billionaires, Trent.
Yeah.
He is a billionaire. He can do anything he needs to make this place a success. And he has bought clearly a very substantial piece of land. This is like miles of property.
Like I said, he sets up this fucking company in order to surround the property and make sure nothing comes in or goes out.
And call it a wildlife preserve.
Yeah.
And have the rangers who just go around the perimeter. They don't even go in. Nobody goes in. Nobody comes out.
It's the fucking privilege that these people have, and the privilege that of modern people where they say, I'm not going to deal with modern society. I'm going to go off and be a trad wife. Fuck you.
It will always...
That's my message about this movie. Fuck you.
It will always find you. Okay, I'm going to bring up something else because I feel like we have to talk about this too. The fact that Adrian Brody is playing somebody with different capabilities. He is mentally handicapped in some fashion. I don't know if he is on the spectrum or something happened to him. We don't know his story. But he is the villain of the piece, Trent?
I do not get villain vibes out of what he's saying here.
Trent.
I feel...
Trent?
Hear me out.
Okay.
Hear me out.
All right.
I feel like this is another one of these unfortunate circumstances that they are dealing with as a society, much like with Ivy being blind. Maybe there would have been something to help her. They're accepting that as a consequence of their decision to live here. Same thing with Adrian Brody's character here. They're dealing with the fact that they can't really help him in the way that he needs help because, again, it is just a consequence of them living in the society.
Mostly I'm talking about the fact that first he stabs a guy. Okay, fine. But he's also going around skinning animals and he's like chasing her through the woods. And, you know, he is the one causing all of this. He is the bad guy.
Okay, I'm
He's
going to stop you.
He's a fucking insane person.
I'm going to stop you.
But no, I want to say my piece. He is insane. They are treating him as he's insane, but he's not insane. He is just a guy with these different abilities, and I don't know what we're trying to do with that.
Do they actually say for sure that he's the one skinning the animals?
Yes, they were under the floorboards that when his parents came in because the door was locked, he couldn't get out of this room. They opened the door, he has busted out a window, and they have the floorboards open, and all of the pelts and the feathers and everything are under there. He was definitely the one doing that.
Okay, fine. But you saying that he's the villain here is not accurate, because the villains here are all in that fucking room surrounding the bed when they come up with the idea, okay, guys, now we can really, really sell this lie because our lies have been proven accurate. Then they ask the question, after they say, well, we're going to go and find his body and give him a proper burial, but we're going to use this to sell this fucking lie some more. But they ask the question, do we want to continue doing this? We have a perfect opportunity here to continue this life. But considering all that, also considering the fact that Adrian Brody's character is no longer going to be a problem. So again, I say the monsters of this movie are all those adults in the room.
But I say again, my problem is, why is the one guy who is differently abled than everybody else the one who was actually going around killing people? Or trying to kill people or scare people or do any of that stuff. I don't know. It just feels icky.
It's very
feels
convenient.
Icky.
It's a very convenient way to keep that plot point moving. And you are right to feel that way. I feel that way too. But it just reinforces how fucking fucked up these other people are.
And maybe that's just being in 2025 and looking at it now going, maybe we didn't need to do that, because it feels much more dated. Now, it's one of those themes when you have an actor portraying a character like this.
Yep.
It always feels a little bit weirder in 2025.
It absolutely does.
And it's not to say the performance is bad. Adrian Brody has 2 Oscars and there's a reason for it. He's a very, very good actor. It just feels weird to me. And that's where I will leave that conversation. Is there anybody else in this movie that you would like to talk about as far as like their performance goes, or anybody that you felt was really out of place for some reason?
Not really. I think I've said my piece about, kind of the characters and how everybody is acting and whatnot. The moments I've already talked about, I don't even think I have anything left in my notes to talk about, except the fact that they fucking brought up, oh, you have these magic stones to bring along with you. What fucking story did they tell these people to say, oh, it's okay, you have the magic stones? It's like fucking magic beans.
It's because they needed her to have people go with her. And they're not going to tell everybody what they told Ivy because they don't want everybody to know it's fake. And these 2 little boys are gullible as shit.
And one of the boys say, well, why have we never heard about these magic stones before? They could have told us all this time, and now we find out about them, and blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
But they had to tell them something.
Yeah. So, again, it just proves to me that people are inherently curious, and they want to ask questions here, especially when it is outside of what they are used to. In this case, the boys have never heard of this magic thing, essentially asking the question, you mean that we would have been able to leave at any time and be protected from the monsters if we just had these magic beans? But seriously.
Luckily, these boys be dumb and scared, so they turn back.
And they abandoned this fucking blind girl out in the middle of the woods where they know in their heart of hearts that there are monsters out there. What the fuck?
They're just like, you got this, right? Okay, bye.
Yeah. Fuck this movie.
Yeah, I think it is not the worst movie ever. It is rewatchable. I will tell you, as somebody who has watched this movie many, many times, but I haven't done it in years. This was the first time I've watched this in probably since we've been together.
Betsy, you heard me on the couch laughing at a whole bunch of different moments in this movie. I think if I were to ever watch this again, I would laugh even more.
And I think that's the difference between us. I saw this in the theater when it came out in a time where I had my blinders on. I didn't know there was other stuff.
You were one of those
me.
people who wanted the whatever the twist is to bust you in the face and say, wow, another M. Night Shyamalan classic.
I was excited about the concept of the movie, and I didn't know there was negativity around it. You have, unfortunately, 21 years of people saying, The Village sucks. This is a weird ass movie and I don't understand it and it's stupid. That's all you know about this. You didn't know anything about who was in it or what the plot was. All you knew was the vibe that people have projected on this movie.
And not necessarily just this movie, but this era of Shyamalan movies. The first 3 were good in the eyes of most people. The second 3 are kind of dog shit. And then the most recent 3, hey, you kind of found it again.
Trent, as we continue this journey, especially through this next wave, you're going to see why people kind of were like, okay, I'm fucking done with Shyamalan for a while. And then I'm really excited as we get to more recent stuff because even I haven't seen it. After The Happening, I checked the fuck out like everybody else did.
Yeah.
But that's going to have to wait for another time because we still have 2 more of these to go and we're not doing them anytime soon. This is like a once a year type thing because if we watched these all in a row, I think you'd lose your damn mind, Trent.
Yeah, and we might have to have a conversation offline here to maybe accelerate the pace
Let's
at
get
which...
to the good stuff.
Let's accelerate the pace at which we are watching these movies because there's a lot of these that we still have to watch, and I don't know how long we're going to be doing this fucking podcast. Not to say that there's anything to announce here at all, but what I'm saying is once a year may not be enough.
That pace is slightly too slow, so let's
Yeah.
hurry it up, kids. Hurry it up.
Yeah.
Well, then I think that is where we are going to leave The Village and the world of M. Night Shyamalan until another day.
For now.
But we would love to hear your thoughts. Please tell us, do you love The Village? Are you prepared to defend this movie? I would love to hear why you love it, or just send us a scathing review of why it is terrible and should be burned in the fires of hell. You can send those thoughts to neverseeitpod@gmail.com. We got an email from our superfan Mitch up in Saskatoon titled Surprise Watch, The Conversation.
A very different kind of movie.
That was a movie we did in our last decade series. So we just finished 2025, but
Yep.
when we did 2024's decade series, we covered The Conversation for 1974.
Correct.
So he's catching up on some old episodes. His email reads, "Hey guys, randomly came across The Conversation on Amazon Prime, and knowing how much you guys liked it, I figured I needed to watch. It's my attempt to honor the late Gene Hackman. Super interesting movie. We get right into it, nothing seems conspicuous at all. This keeps your attention throughout, and you really do have to listen to every word of that conversation. I hadn't listened to the episode for a long time, so I didn't remember how it ended and was shocked when it finished. This movie was ingenious and super imaginative. 10 out of 10 maple syrups. Have fun this summer, you two movie nerds."
Well, thank you, Mitch.
Yes, sometimes I forget that Mitch likes to listen to the episodes regardless of if he's watched the movie or not.
Some people are very sensitive to spoilers and knowing details before you go into a movie.
Trent, I have a memory like a steel trap when it comes to movie
You
spoilers.
You do.
It's really unfortunate because it makes it hard for me to enjoy them, especially if I watch them in the near future. We're recording this the weekend Superman comes out, and I'm going to have to avoid that shit on the internet like the plague, because if I see something this weekend, I'm gonna remember it for whatever time we finally watch the movie.
I am just the opposite because, speaking of Shyamalan, when we covered The Sixth Sense, I knew what the twist was for that fucking movie because you couldn't avoid it for one thing.
Everybody knows the twist for The Sixth Sense.
But I could go into that movie really taking that out of my watching experience for the first time because I'm coming at this from a analytical point of view, watching it in its entirety and judging it on its merits at the time. Me knowing the spoiler at the time, I think just painted my perception just a little bit, but I still think I would have had the same reaction.
And for me, listening to a podcast about a movie that I haven't watched, it's hard for me to follow because I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Obviously.
If I haven't seen the movie, I need the context.
Yeah, and some people, they might want to just listen to, hey, I really like that movie, or hey, this movie sucks. You might listen to one of our episodes and just get that one little snippet right away at the very least after we come back from our break. So that, hey, if this sounds like something you want to watch, or if you feel like, in the early conversation of us talking about it, that, oh, this is really intriguing, I might pause here and come back to it later. We always say, If you want to play the Never Seen It home game, just listen to the intro of our episode, go and watch the movie when we go and watch the movie, and listen to the rest of the episode after you watch the movie. I know Mitch does that a whole lot. I know a lot of people do that every so often. And it's just participating in the same way and having the reactions in your own mind as you're listening to us give our reactions. It's kind of the whole point of the show.
Well, to each their own. I don't personally subscribe to that, but if you are not sensitive to spoilers, knock yourselves out. Because we definitely talked about the spoilers and the twists in all of the M. Night Shyamalan movies in those episodes. So I think people should just watch the movies and judge for themselves. You don't have to believe me. Like I said, I would love for you to tell me, do you love The Village? Tell me why you love The Village and defend The Village. Like, email us, neverseenapod@gmail.com. You could also go on any of our social media pages, send us a message on one of those because we get them all. We'll respond to you, or we'll read your comments on the podcast. Even if we don't respond, we definitely saw it. But we want to hear more from what people are actually thinking about these movies because our opinions are just our own. That's the fun of movies. I want to hear a completely different one if you have one. If you would like further opinions from us about our movies, you can also go to patreon.com/neverseenapod, where we have 4 more shows plus a bonus episode every time there's a 5th Wednesday of the month.
Like there is in July.
And you can hear us talk about all kinds of movies over there as well.
Speaking of Gene Hackman, we just covered the Royal Tenenbaums for our movie club episode at the beginning of the month. So if you love Gene Hackman like we do, we talk a whole bunch about that movie and him in that episode. And speaking of our bonus episode, Betsy, I don't think that we have said this. We just decided what we're going to do for the 5th Wednesday in July. Do you want to tell them?
Yeah, on Patreon, we're going to be doing Grindhouse.
Yeah.
So we're doing the full experience of watching both movies with all of the interstitial
almost
stuff.
4-hour piece of content that those two guys put out. I'm really excited to watch it because I've never seen it before. It's going to be basically a mega episode of Never Seen It at the end of July over on Patreon. And you know, it's still summertime. It's the kind of movie that you would go and see at a fucking drive-in theater. We don't have those anymore, do we?
We do in moderation. Like, there's a few of them. Like, there's one near us. I wish we could go and see it more, but I'm old and those movies don't start until it's dark, and it's like 10 o'clock when it gets dark around here.
Yeah, I
and it's
forgot that
always
place
a
does
double
open.
feature, Trent.
That's right.
The one time I went, I was there till almost like 2, 3 a.m. and I was in high school and I was fucking exhausted. If I did that now,
We're old.
I would die, or I'd fall asleep in the car and then I would miss the entirety of the second movie and people would have to knock on the window to send my ass home. That's what I foresee that being. But it is, as you said, still the summer, and we have one more episode this July for Never Seen It, our regularly scheduled Sunday episodes. And we are going to be watching a very silly, nonsensical movie.
That's
to
right.
finish out the month strong, Trent.
Damn right we are.
What are we going to be watching next Sunday?
Oh, Betsy, we have been lacking in the amount of stupid-ass action movies on this show. And by golly, we are going to make up for lost time by watching the one and only Cobra.
This is a movie that is brand new to both of us.
Yep.
But we are definitely familiar with its existence. And yet we've never seen it.
We watched a trailer for this movie after we decided to do it, and we were like, oh, this is going to be so much fucking fun.
This is going to be so fucking stupid. But you will have to come back next week to hear that episode. So until then, we thank you as always for listening. My name is Betsy.
My name's Trent.
And we'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.